Hey, welcome back. It's Defender Chassis. My name's Scott, and this is the fourth update for the new shop project, day 71. It's been just a hair over 3 weeks since my last update. I believe the last time I talked to you, we had the existing structure that was on the property torn down and a little bit of excavation done. What I was trying to do was hire a contractor to build the building. Had some luck with that. Let you know what happened today. I actually have hired a foundation contractor, and they came in today. And actually, last week, this is Monday, and on last Friday they brought a dozer in. I wrote them a check on Thursday, and Friday morning they brought a dozer in and brought the site down to grade. And then today, Monday, they brought another crew in with a mini track hoe and dug the footer and corrected some minor imperfections in the excavation the guy did on Friday, and actually poured the whole footer. Now, one thing that we did that I didn't originally spec out is that we poured a step footer to reduce some cost, and you can argue whether or not I reduced cost or not, because I ended up paying a little more money for this guy than what some other contractors had quoted me on the foundation. But what we did was, on the back side of the shop, on two walls, where for the most part we are well below grade. So instead of pouring 2 foot below the finished floor, another 4 foot stem wall above that, like we're going to need on the other two walls, well, they went ahead and stepped the footer and just did a 4 foot wall back where we're going to be well under grade. Now, like I said, he said that saved me some money, but I had some additional cost in the excavation that didn't get done with the other contractor. But the reason I did it this way was when I did 6 RFQs, or requests for quotes, with the spec that I posted earlier. And I got 4 of those 6 to actually respond and give me a number. And as is typical when you do these types of things, I had one guy that was just way high, and I don't know what he was thinking, whether maybe I just didn't have anybody else, or maybe I was desperate or something. But I mean, he was you know, to the tune of 33% higher than the next guy even. And then I had another guy that, although he wasn't the very lowest bidder, he was quoting me some things, and this is something that you run into as well. He didn't quote the project exactly as I had spec'd it out. Rather than poured walls, he spec'd out 12-inch concrete block, and he was going to fill every 4th cavity, or I don't know, a cavity every 4 feet, or I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to look to see what he spec'd out. But and then he quoted 2 by 8 walls. Now everybody else came back, and I wasn't sure whether we needed 2 by 8 walls, or I mean 2 by 6 walls or 2 by 4. But everybody else came back at 2 by 6 walls, and he came back with 2 by 8s. Of course, with an 8-inch poured concrete wall, you're not going to be able to get a 2 by 8 and a girt on the outside without, you know, sticking over on the inside. So he quoted 12-inch block and a 2 by 8 wall, which was interesting. And he also quoted pouring the footer and the floor all at the same time, which I'm not real sure how happy I was with that. But his price was really competitive, and I felt like that monolithic pour for the footer and the floor was a positive. Was not convinced that the 12-inch block was a positive. Simply because the house that was on this property before was torn down because the foundation failed, and what happened was the soil pushed the wall in. And a concrete block, you know, it's got a joint in it, and that joint is great in compression. You can load weight on top of that wall and it'll hold all kinds of it. But when you push on it and basically try to bend that wall, that cement joint is in tension and you know, effectively holds, you know, 0 load. So that's the reason why I wanted the poured walls. Well, anyway, in addition to that, I had almost talked myself into going with this guy, but I really couldn't find any information about him. And some of the projects that he sent me to that he said he did, I think what I found out was that he actually did those working for other people, and they weren't actually part of his business. And when he sent me a quote, there was no letterhead. It was just, he wrote his name on top of on top of a standard quote form that you can buy at Office Depot or something. In addition, I researched his name and found the only thing I could find online was where he had registered the name with the state of Ohio as a contractor, and there was an address, and I Googled the address, and it came to a mobile home park in a little town here downriver. So that was a little shaky. That, and you know, things that give you a warm fuzzy feeling are things like, you know, the guy that pulls up and he's got his name on his truck, and you know, he's obviously been doing this for a little while. And this guy, you know, he just had a pickup truck, and what really kind of sealed the deal to not go with him was he wanted 50% of the cost of the project up front. And I got thinking about that, and I thought, you know, well, if I give him, you know, it was like $30,000, and if I give him $30,000, and I really don't know where to find the guy. You know, he doesn't have a local office that I can find or anything of that nature. You know, shit. You know, whether he's going to do the project or not, I'm really at his mercy. So I decided to go another direction. And one of the problems with going another direction, the actual low bidder, who I've gotten some great references from, a buddy of mine's had this guy do, well, he's going to do his third project for a good guy I used to work with, and they say he's a great guy, does great work. And you know, this buddy of mine is in a business where he does inspections and things of that nature, so he's got an eye, you know, for these kind of things, and so I trust him that this guy does good work. But the problem was he does the framework himself, but he farms out the foundation. So he said he could do the project, but his foundation, his poured wall guy, didn't have a West Virginia contractor's license. These guys, most of the guys out of here are out of Ohio. There's a lot of farmland north of here, a lot of barns being built, a lot of Amish Mennonite builders, and they like to come down in this area, and they do good work, they do quick work, and that's what this guy was. He was one of those guys. And but he couldn't do the poured walls. He said if I wanted to do concrete block, he'd be fine with that. So anyway, I then set out here about a week ago, or early last week, into finding a foundation contractor that could do the poured walls for me. So luckily, the guy I ended up hiring to do this, although he's a few $1,000s higher than what what may be in line with what everybody else is quoting me. He called me back the day after I initially spoke with him, and he had 2 jobs canceled, and he said, "Geez, if you want to get going with this, then you know, we could start as early as the end of the week." So anyway, long story short, that's how I got this guy hired. So now I just got to seal the deal and sign a contract with this other Amish builder, but unfortunately, what he's telling me, and the reason I haven't jumped to sign a contract with him, he can't start till mid-October. So even though this foundation is going to be complete into this week, which will be, well, I guess it'll be early September, we're going to have to wait another month before they can get down here to finish the building. But anyway, I just want to give you an update and let you know what I went through as far as finding a contractor. I actually still have one other guy he called me late last week. My dog had some health issues, and I wasn't able to answer his questions. I was at the vet, but he still thinks he's going to give me a quote on this, but I'm probably just not going to give him a call back at this stage of the game, because you know, the foundation's already hired. I don't really have a lot of hopes that he's going to necessarily be any cheaper or any better. You know, I got a good number from a guy that I know does good work, so I think that's the way we're gonna go with it. So, hey, let me pick this camera up, and I'll walk you over here and let you see what the job site looks like and what they got done today. So this is the corner that's closest to the road. The way this will work out is there will be a 12-foot door as close to this wall as possible, and then there will be a 6-foot wall, and then another 12-foot overhead door, and then a 3-foot wall, and then a 36-inch man door, and then it'll finish out to the corner. There won't be any windows in the building. This footer here will have a 6-foot wall poured on top of it, and then you can see there's the first step, which is 2 feet, and then that'll have a 4-foot wall on that. We're going to be very close on the grade in the back, and what we may end up doing is we may have to cut 6 inches of dirt at that top corner and slope that off, which won't be too big of a deal, because I've got a field here out back that needs some straightening out. They had horses in it, and I could use some fill back there to straighten that out. Let's go ahead and walk on around, show you the other step. See, this is all way higher than, you know, what I'm walking on here, than what the finish is going to be. Of course, you know, a lot of this is going to be used to backfill. See over here in this corner, it looks like maybe they actually dug out a little lower than what they had anticipated. I was out here over the weekend, and they actually didn't have, they were about 2 foot shy of having this cut back far enough to be able to cut that footer in. But they got out here this morning, and I can tell where they got the dozer fired up again and got that finished up. Now, when these guys are finished, one of the specifications is that the dirt on the inside of the building will be at effectively 6 inches below finished grade, so that the next contractor will not have to bring in any fill or remove any dirt to pour the concrete. They'll simply be able to come in and prep and go. And then down here's the other step. And I guess we're gonna have to make sure that we get 2 foot of dirt up on this wall in this area, because it doesn't look to me like, looks like this step probably should have actually been up here a little ways. But I'm sure we can get, and when I say 2 foot of dirt, that references the frost line. In this area, you want to be 24 inches below grade to prevent frost heaving. Now, one other thing I didn't talk about, and you can see here in this location, those 2 pieces of rebar that are outside the footer. The reason those are there is that lines up, if you look around here, you see that water spigot? Just past that water spigot is the manhole for the water service. The water meter's over there. And so at some point we're going to pull that spigot out, and then we're going to run a water line. And rather than go ahead and run that line ahead of time, what he's done is he's put a piece of 4-inch PVC in that footer. So when it comes time to put the water line in, after they're finished here, and that 4 to 6 week wait time on getting the next contractor in, I'll have to get in here and dig a ditch, both outside and in, and bring that water line through there. Now, that's not the only pass-through that we're going to have, and they're gonna set me up on all this stuff. There'll be a gas line that will come through. So we've got a 12-foot roll-up door, a 12-foot roll-up door, and a man door. And then in this corner is where all the plumbing's going to be, because there'll be an office. Right now we're thinking 12 by 12 that will be elevated, and underneath of that's where all the utilities will come in. So to the left of this man door, what I want to do is bring the gas line in, and so they're going to put a sleeve in that poured wall at the appropriate height for that gas line. And in addition, because of the sewer and the water, not water coming in, but there's a chance that I may want an outdoor water service here at some point. So they're going to put a sleeve low. Of course, we didn't put it in the footer here because, you know, we're so much lower below grade. But I'm going to put a sleeve in so that I can run a water line back out of the building and either come out here. In the event we may put a mobile home here to live in temporarily until we can get a house built. But in addition, they're going to put a sleeve in for a sewer line, and that sewer line needs to be as high as possible because since the house was existing here, there is an existing line that, oddly enough, I guess it's not so odd if you think about it, the septic system for this house was behind the house, but when the sewer system was put in, of course it's at the road, so when they hooked up to the sewer system, rather than coming back out the house, they were already technically out of the house. They ran the septic line out around the back and came out. And if you look for it, I don't know, but we don't have it covered up at this stage of the game, but somewhere out here there is a low area in which there is a sewer line. And so we want to be able to tie back into that. Now you have to maintain a certain amount of slope to tie into that line. So we want to make sure that we get this line up high enough. Now if you're too high, you have to put a drop in, but hopefully that we won't be in that situation. So we're going to have a sleeve on this side of the building for the gas, for a water line out, and for the sewer. Now the last sleeve will actually be in the back wall, and what that'll be for is for water off the cistern. If you don't remember, there is a cistern right there that holds just a tremendous amount of water, and the back of this building will have 3 downspouts, 60-foot long, 3 downspouts, and those will drain. We'll set those up so they drain and keep that cistern full. Now we want to use this water for washing cars or anything other than for drinking, not for toilet water, but so the plan is at some point to put some type of a pump underneath of the office, pull off of this cistern, use it for pressure washing or washing cars or whatever. So we're going to put a sleeve in also, at least 2 foot below grade. You know, what would be 2 foot below where the top of that cistern is, in this wall back here, so that we can pull off that cistern. So that's about it. Day 71, update number 4. So hey, if you got any questions or anything, leave a comment, and I'll see you on the next update. Thanks for watching.